Bodo Glimt, the team you probably don't know anything about, maybe only that they played against Milan in Europa League. That piqued your interest to see what with them? Well, your interest is very well founded, considering that the small team just won the Norwegian Championship, breaking lots and lots of records. I will give you just a few examples and we will go into details later. They won the Norwegian Championship with most points, most goals, and most wins in a season, and the biggest winning margin. If you're not a fan of Norwegian football, you could say, well, what's so fantastic? They were probably the best Norwegian team anyway. Well, no. They won the championship for the first time in their 104-year history. They are known in Norway as an elevator club because of their record of moving between the two top divisions. In 2017, they played in the second Norwegian league, and today they are the country's champions. But what changed to achieve such a performance? We will go very fast through the history of the team, but it will not take long at all because there is not much to say. The tiny Arctic Circle team, FK Bodo Glimt, was founded in 1916. By the way, I hope I pronounced the name correctly, at least that's what Mrs. Google says is correct.
Bodø Glimt.
Okay, until 1972, teams from the northern Norway were not allowed to compete in the top division. They thought we are primitives up here, that we're just farmers, fishermen. Some still think we are. The sports director was quoted as saying, then for 7 years until 1979, they could only do so under extremely strict rules different from those of the teams in the south or center of the country. Since then, Bodo Glimt have never been Norwegian champions, but the team had finished second 4 times since 1977. In 1975, Bodo Glimt won the Norwegian Cup. Then, in 1993, they won the trophy again, the second and last trophy until winning the 2020 championship. Since 1974, the symbol of the club is a toothbrush, a giant and yellow toothbrush. During a match, one of the fans decided to convince the others to sing. While trying to convince them, he received a toothbrush from another supporter as a joke. He didn't give up and he was inspired to use the toothbrush to coordinate the choir of fans. A representative of a toothbrush company found out about this story and wanting to advertise the company, he distributed giant toothbrushes among the fans. From that moment, the toothbrush became the symbol of the club. Though they have been in qualifying grounds for both the Europa League and the UEFA Cup, they have never been to any sort of group stage at the European level. For years, they were described as what Norwegians would call UU-lag, which is the basic explanation for a team that bounces between first and second tier. In 2003, the club came close to winning the title, finished second in the league and played in the cup final, losing to Rosenborg. After that, the journey began with ups and downs. In 2005, they were relegated. In 2007, they were promoted, and in 2009, they were relegated again. They repeated this route until 2017, when they last promoted, and since then everything has changed. The turning point came when Asmund Bjorkan, the coach at the time, moved up as sporting director at the end of 2017. His assistant, Kjetil Knutsen, then took over. A man who never played football and who until then had trained only teams from the lower leagues. Together they formed a bond and a collective unit that seems to be one of the main reasons why Bodo Glimt are performing the way they are. Besides the two, also in 2017, Björn Mansberg joined the team as a mental coach. It's interesting that he is a former fighter pilot who served in Afghanistan for the Norway Air Force. He was not a football fan at all, and he found the first few games he watched boring. Several players say they wouldn't be where they are now without him. I only had 2 rules, he said. It all had to be voluntary, and I wouldn't be the club's agent. I wouldn't tell the players they should be more happy or that they should work harder. In 2018, in the first season of the 3, the team finished only on the 11th place, just 3 points above the relegation zone. Since they had not relegated, it was a decent season for them, but no one anticipated what would follow. Therefore, in 2019, most media outlets picked them as one of the 2 teams to surely be relegated prior to the season. In 2019 season, Bodo fought to the end with Molde and Odd to win the title. After all, they finished as runners-up with 54 points, which included 64 goals scored and 44 conceded. For this achievement, Coach Knutsen was named Coach of the Year in Norway. At the end of the season, Bodo sold the best strikers, Evian, Lajoni and Herrera. They totaled 29 goals and 15 assists. This means that they were involved in almost 70% of the team's goals. Given these departures from the team, it seemed that they would end up fighting again to avoid relegation. However, Glimt's ability to replace their players have proved quite the masterpiece in the 2020 season. The club didn't transfer many new players but relied on what they already had. The core of the squad is homegrown, the likes of Berg, Salnes, the defender Brett Moe, and the winger Jens Peter Hauge, all drawn from Bodo itself or from elsewhere in the north of Norway. All came up through the club's youth system. Half the first team are local boys, Orion Berg said. We aim to have 40% of our squad from northern Norway and 15% of playing minutes for local players. That is part of our identity. The fans want northern Norwegians to play. And so begins the 2020 championship, a season in which many fell in love with the tactics and results of the small team. Bodo started the championship with 10 victories in a row and 38 goals scored, an extraordinary balance sheet. The favorite team to win the title, Molde, was looking forward to their wrong step. Only in the 11th match, Bodo made the first error and got only a draw against Stabæk. That result didn't discourage the boys trained by Knutsen at all, and by the end of the championship they obtained 26 victories, 3 draws and only 1 defeat. To understand how offensive they played during the season, find out that they scored in all the 30 matches. Only one team managed to escape with a goal conceded, otherwise Bodo scored at least 2 goals in 29 matches. Because in 2019 they were runners-up, they participated in the qualifications of the Europa League in 2020. There they had 3 matches in which they played in the same characteristic offensive style. 6 goals in the first match, 3 in the second and 2 in the last. Only the last 2 goals were scored against a legendary team, AC Milan. The match ended 3-2 for Milan, and Bodo not only scored 2 goals but scored them on the Italian field, San Siro. The Norwegians had a tactic that not many people expected. They attacked. Thus, they won the hearts of many spectators of the match. Jens Peter Hauge, a 21-year-old winger who was involved in both goals against the Italians, scored a goal and had an assist, became a target for Milan. In the end, the Rossoneri offered €5 million for him and the transfer was made in October 2020. The qualification was almost impossible to obtain, but Bodo managed to get the most out of a defeat, respect from all football fans and money from selling a player. Now that we've gone through the entire 2020 season, let's see what records the Norwegians have achieved. First, most goals scored in a season, 103, and then most points in a season, 81. Biggest title winning margin, 19 points. Most wins in a season, 26. And here are 2 other derived records. Most home wins in a season, 15, and most away wins in a season, 11. Lots of records, right? Well, the list isn't over. They also had most goals scored at home in a season, 59, and best goal difference in a season, 71. They actually wrote a new page in the history of Norwegian football, and all this with one of the smallest budgets, a tenth of the biggest Norwegian clubs. So why did Bodo manage to achieve all these performances? Asmund Bjørkan, the club's director, explains Knutsen's unexpected success. We in Glimt have always played 4-3-3. It's in the club's DNA, and Kittel was comfortable with that. But during his time at the club, we've developed the tactics a lot. We used to be a counter-attack team, but Kittel wants to dominate the games. He wants to play with intense pressure, and that characterizes our game now. When we win the ball, we are going to attack fast and efficiently with many players. If the opponents then play out of our pressure, we have to deal with that. We have very fast defenders in the team, which is a must. Otherwise, the opponents will punish us, says Bjørkan, quoted by Football Scanner. Technician Kittel Knutsen, who is inspired by the legendary Niels Arne Eggen, who won 14 titles with Rosenborg, and Liverpool coach Jurgen Klopp, has no sophisticated secret to success. The key is simple. We've gathered many competent people to pull in the same direction, says Knutsen. Bodo Glimt's coach knows that the players must be prepared both physically and mentally. The most important thing for developing the players is the quality of the training session, but also to have a good mood. After all, it is not the world's most serious thing that we are doing, says Gnatzen. In this philosophy, players that no one had heard of exploded, such as Kasper Junker, 27 goals and 11 assists this season, the young Jens-Peter Hauge, 14 goals and 10 assists until October 1st when he was sold to Milan, Ulrich Saltnes, 12 goals and 17 assists, or Philipp Zinkernagel, 19 goals and 24 assists, who transferred to Watford. Beside these ones, many other players took part in the success of the small Norwegian team. In the end, even if they do not maintain themselves as a top team, they will remain an example of dedication combined with talent for Norway and for the rest of the planet. There will always be an underdog team that will win the championship out of nowhere. I would really appreciate if you would participate with any kind of engagement, like, comment, subscribe or share. Probably there are many who would like to know about this small team, but YouTube doesn't have much. Thanks for watching. See ya!